Shut up.
Just picture the crowd naked.
That's what they always say, don't they? All right. Welcome back to the Football Tragics YouTube channel. We also have a podcast, just letting you know. Over here on the YouTubes, we're just doing short segments, weekly, bi-weekly, whenever we can really put it out, really.
Some big topics, though.
Yep.
Very big topics.
Massive topic this week. Who's going to dominate the next decade, this decade?
Will anyone dominate?
Will anyone dominate? Obviously, Liverpool, powerhouse team right now.
It makes me worried.
Scary?
Liverpool dominating the next 10 years. I don't want to see it.
Well, that's the topic for today.
Yeah.
Will anybody, or what's it look like for the top six for the next decade?
Okay.
Campo, I'll start off with you, mate.
Bit of Arsenal.
Yeah, we'll jump into Arsenal. We'll go alphabetical. Seems reasonable.
A Spurs fan, so he's going to give us non-biased.
No, we want a non-biased. Oh, see, it just sucks because at the moment, I can only judge off what I can see right now. Their players, they're just shit.
It's a perfect time for Arsenal because it is the start of the decade and obviously a massive change. They've got a new manager in now. Obviously their most recent manager, Emery, didn't work out so well. Maybe he should have been given more time, who knows? But that's done and dusted. They've got in Mikel Arteta, former player. Somewhat of a legend. Obviously he's an Everton legend, but was there for a numerous amount of time. Can he turn that squad around? Can he get who he wants in? And can he work magic that he hasn't showed yet as a manager?
Oh, well, he's got the players with some heart now. I think they're playing with a bit more heart and a bit more respect for the club, so it is possible, but they are many signings off.
There's a few players there. You've got, is it Ozil? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Is there a few that he needs to look at binning, getting rid of early on? Like, who would you say would be his first big name out of the club?
It has to be Ozil, has to be Lacazette. In my opinion, he has a very good work rate, but he just can't find the net. He just can't find the net.
They're the kind of players you keep around, though. Like,
Ozil's good for the club.
Yeah, he's played there a long time. He's not affecting anyone negatively. They've said that previously.
And they probably wouldn't get enough for him that they'd like as well because he's on a bit of a decline. So I don't think they're going to be able to pick up anybody. I don't think they're going to be able to get rid of him and make enough money off him to make it worthwhile.
But I think you have a player like Gabriele Martinelli. When Aubameyang comes back, he goes back to the bench.
Does he though?
No.
Does he though? Why? He's probably the shining light right now in that team.
Is.
Even when Aubameyang plays.
I think as soon as Aubameyang comes back, he'll go back to that position.
Yeah, but they were pushing to accommodate Lacazette. They were pushing Aubameyang to the wing. So what's going to stop them now pushing Aubameyang back to the wing?
He'll be on the wing, but Lacazette will still stay up top.
Okay, another question. Does Aubameyang stay? There's rumours obviously every year about him leaving.
He was going to Madrid last year.
Yeah, apparently this year he's going Barca. But does he stay? If he stays, will he be the one to fire them to glory? Is he enough? Or if he goes, can they fill that void?
Well, if he wants a better career, he'd leave. But
well, how old is he? He's 28 now. So
I can see him going, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think he'll go. They get a big price tag for him, and then Arteta will just bring in.
You think with that money he would bring in? Would he bring in a big name, or would he bring in many?
No.
He'll bring in good players, obviously.
Yeah. So he'd build a squad.
Yeah, he'll build around the system like what they do at City, where they build in system players.
All right, I ask a question then. Will he do what Tottenham did with Gareth Bale money? Because that didn't work out.
No,
Do you mean waste the money?
no,
Effectively, yes.
no. Because Tottenham bought players just purely off players. They didn't. They bought
Ericsson
all
and
attacking.
Lamela.
They bought the similar players, sort of thing. I think Arteta would.
As well. You got Chadley, Lamela,
Soldado. It was just all attackers.
Yeah,
I think and Lamela, Ericsson.
they'd split the money a bit more evenly.
And you can obviously see at Arsenal they need defenders more so than they need anything attacking wise.
Yeah.
I think attacking wise that's fine. Like maybe creativity not, but strikers they don't need anybody else. They've got Martinelli for the future, who looks like he's going to be great. They've got a few young players like Saka. He looks quite decent. Obviously got like Reece Nelson and stuff coming back in, and then you've got the big names: Aubameyang, Lacazette if he stays. So you've got a strike force. Defensively, they're all aging. They need to get someone somewhat young who can they build a team around.
Well, they're looking at Stones, but
one for the future. He's about 24, 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd still be young enough to build a team around.
They got Saliba coming back, but it's just I can't see him in the next decade pushing anything more than challenging for the Champions
You're
League.
kidding. Compared to what United or Chelsea, who are doing well with the young team, but they're already more ahead of United in their rebuild. More
You think
ahead,
so?
More ahead of Tottenham with their
Do you
rebuild.
so you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
You say they're ahead, but they're sitting 10th. Like, it's...
They've
but
got a
that-
draw against Chelsea. Since Arteta, their form's improved. And
Has it?
It's going to get better.
Has it?
So you
Yeah,
definitely think they
I-
will make a push. How much of a push now? Are they
They're
going
on
to
top 4. They're going to finish top 4 this year.
comfortable? They're going to be a comfortable top 4 team. So they're going to push out the likes
I'm
of
talking about the
United.
next decade.
Yeah.
Not this year.
Yeah, not this year. We're not
This
talking.
year. They're going to they will be a better, like more, I don't know the word, but they'll become a better, more prolific side in the Premier League than United over the next decade. And Tottenham and maybe Chelsea around the same. Chelsea seem to make a title run every 2 to 3. So
There's a good chance they will do some good in the next decade. I don't think they'll do. I don't think they're going to make the right signings, even with.
No, I think
they'll
they would
lose.
though, because
You think?
Arteta will come to the table with reasonably priced younger kids that it would work better for him than what they've tried putting in the past when they bring in these overly hyped 75 million.
if we had to average all their team, the top 6 finishes over the next 10 years, you've got probably Liverpool, City top. Who have you got? Like who's averaging a higher finish out of United, Tottenham, Chelsea,
I think.
Arsenal?
I don't want to sound biased, but I will. I think Chelsea will average 3rd place most consistently.
Yeah,
I think
in the next
Chelsea will
decade.
average 3rd
And then I think United. No offense to Tottenham, I think United and Arsenal will fight.
See, I think it'll be Arsenal and Tottenham that fight for 4th every year.
Nah.
And they got United out.
I think,
Yeah,
I
I
think United are at the bottom of the table when it comes to those
All right,
teams.
well, let's bring it into Tottenham then. Let's talk about. Wait, no,
Chelsea.
Chelsea. All right, we'll talk about Chelsea.
Alphabetically.
Yeah, forgot I thought we were talking like league order, you know,
No.
because Tottenham's pretty bad. But bringing it to Chelsea then, massive changes there again.
Yep.
New manager. He's had a bit more time than Arteta. He's had,
Yeah, but in
since
saying
the
that,
beginning of the season.
He's still only had
But
Three
again,
quarters of a
and he
season.
didn't have a long
Half a
pre-season either. They obviously took a little while to announce that transfer. He's working with a young team who, obviously, this first season under a transfer ban since has been lifted. But at the start, lost big name Eden Hazard, playing with a bunch of youth now who have done well considerably, but you can still see there's a lot of problems in that team.
They punched above their weight this year, and I still think they're favourites to get that top 4 this year. But it just seems like sometimes Frank can't get them up for these big. He gets them up for these big games against Arsenal, Tottenham, United. But when it comes to the scrappy Crystal Palace or West Ham,
Southampton did a job against
Yeah.
us.
it's the players that just I think they lack the motivation to.
Yeah, I think there's heart there, but motivation is a big thing. I don't think they have enough of it at times. Obviously, defensively, we're leaking goals for fun this season, so it'll be interesting. I think even though we've got good defenders there, but they just can't seem to click with each other, which is a worry because
Well, they haven't had a consistent backline for this.
yeah, exactly right. It changes every week, so they need to find something that works and sticks and roll with that.
Well, I think Chelsea's major problem at the moment is now that they've got all these young kids and they're doing fairly well, but they can't afford to throw every single one of their young kids out at the same time, and they're having to throw out Williams and others like him that might end up being detrimental sometimes. He's saved you a few games, but majority of the time, nonetheless, I think he's had it. He's gone.
So speaking of William then, obviously he's ageing. Him and Pedro aren't getting any younger. They'll probably be 1 or 2 seasons and then they'll be done. Will they?
In.
Yeah. Who do you think will get in?
I don't think he's got any sort of.
I think
I
we'll.
don't think he got any pull, to be honest.
I think we do. I think we'll sign. I don't want to watch this back in like a year's time and be completely wrong. But I think if Jadon Sancho comes, because I don't want to say he will, if he comes, that's a massive signing.
Very
Youngster,
good, yeah.
no Premier experience, which is always a worry, but he's lighting the world up. There's no doubt about it. Probably one of the best wingers in the world right now. Young.
I think depending on where you finish this year is the kind of pull you're gonna be able to bring.
Yeah.
Jadon Sancho's not going to want to leave Dortmund. Champions League.
No, he does want to leave Dortmund, but it's whether he wants to go to
Yeah,
Chelsea.
But
I
it's
think
like-
no matter what, he's leaving Dortmund.
He doesn't want to play Europa League. When he's
Yeah,
playing
definitely.
in these big stadiums, the Champions League.
Definitely.
He's not going to. You want
So
to.
you think for Chelsea to sign a player like that, they need top four?
They're going to need that Champions League.
I can't argue with that. Do you think Tammy Abraham is the striker for the next 10 years?
No. He's had a decent season. He's doing well, but
Do you see him staying, or do you think they throw money at a big name? Like I
That's
don't
the
want.
Chelsea way, isn't it? Just getting a big name striker in from.
Yeah, but if you got to, it's hard because obviously you trust. First season, he's done well. Say he nets another 10 goals this season.
Any other team, he'd still be there. But I think Chelsea, the way they just throw money at big players, and they don't really have the amount of strikers you've had over the years, and you just throw them away after like 2
That's the
seasons.
problem. The other strikers we've had, like the Maratas, didn't do well their first season.
Diego Costa.
He's our best. He's our most recent best player we've had since Drogba. Because Torres obviously didn't fire out the world, but still did quite a decent job, looking back on it. But Diego Costa has been the best player since Drogba.
yeah.
And unfortunately, a falling out between him and a previous coach ended his reign at Chelsea. So you don't think Tammy stays?
No, I think Lamps has reached his ceiling, to be honest, as a manager.
I don't know how you can say that. It's been less than a year.
I don't think it matters with him what players he gets in. I don't think he can manage a bigger team. I think the players.
He wouldn't manage a bigger team. He's not going anywhere else.
Bigger players means bigger personalities and
Yeah, well, that's
then
what
the pressure
Chelsea-
comes on him once the big players are in. I don't think he can handle that.
Chelsea are missing their personality on the field. They don't like Asby is he's a leader, but he's not that captain you can look to in the middle of a game and go, that captain's going to do anything to win me this game. Asby sort of just, I don't know, he hangs around.
They seem flat, and I don't think Lampard can get. If he can't get kids up for a game, I don't think he's going to. I think he'll be gone next year. I think he's gone. I think you get a new manager in. I reckon he's gone, and Chelsea are going to have a.
So you're saying Chelsea's going to be
You're gonna have
the
one-
worst of the lot?
Not worse than Tottenham, but I think he'll be with United.
Okay.
I think it's a struggle.
Well, I'm going to
Yeah.
be a bit biased and say I think we'll be comfortably third best in the league. I just think over the course of the time, Liverpool and Man City just a bit too strong, and they're already 2 or 3 strides ahead of the rest. So I think they'll carry that momentum. But I think Chelsea this season, even with our horrid results at times, have looked the best team out of the lot. And obviously, Man United have done, played us a couple of times and beaten us, but we've played the rest of the teams and we've come out on top. So I just think
Yeah, but I think
Carry that on.
this season, if you're looking at this season, it's just the Leicester when they won the league. You aren't doing well because you're doing well because other teams are doing worse.
but we are also doing bad. We've lost quite a number of games this year. We've lost 8 games now this year.
Yeah, but that's not bad considering the rest of the table. So
But Spurs have lost less.
yeah, but Spurs have also.
Arsenal have lost less, but drawn. You know what I mean? So all these, every team's doing bad, but we're doing.
Sucks.
Somehow, whenever we lose, every other team fails to pick up points. The amount of games we've got 12 points out of the last 14 games, which is
Yeah.
shocking.
We went
the
the
fact
last-
that we are still sitting in 4th for that amount of time is
That's
just
this year, though.
yeah.
That's just this year in a nutshell.
Yeah, and it's going to get worse when Lampard gets found out.
You have some sort of hatred towards this bloke,
Oh,
but
it's a fraud.
I'll agree with you and say that they probably will be third in average, I think, but I don't think it's going to be a comfortable third. It's going to be a very tight.
I don't think anybody's going to be comfortably getting top 4 except for City and Liverpool. I think the rest of it's going to be a shit fight.
Third to fifth, and then throw in a random team every year because there always seems to be one little challenge for that top 4. Third to fifth is going to be a very chopping, changing system. It won't be a.
Should we go to the robots?
The robots, aka the soon-to-be champions by the looks of it. Hopefully we can look back on this and laugh when they didn't do it, but it doesn't seem that way.
They wrapped it up.
Liverpool, obviously the most, would you say the most comfortable out of the teams right now, even including City?
Yeah.
Well, they have,
more.
yeah, you have to be because you look at our.
You look at your previous 10 years, you went through a lot and you ended the decade in some style. So it's only natural that you'll continue this the way you finished the last.
Just look at the way we've applied our transfers for the past 4 years since Klopp's come in. We haven't brung in anyone that's been a world beater. Every transfer we've brung in is in question marks over.
They definitely made a name they've made a name for themselves, but they definitely took their level to another.
Yeah, we haven't been out
Another-
there signing that $100 million striker or whatever that the other clubs previously
You're buying
had.
from lesser clubs. You're
Yeah.
buying the best talent from smaller clubs, and
Yeah.
you can't afford to keep a big price tag.
But there was no stopping City.
No, but there's nothing wrong with doing that.
No,
Yeah.
That's smart business, if
It's
anything.
smart business, yeah.
But
Yeah.
we've also signed players because all right, look, I might be wrong here, but you can pull Henderson out of that club, and then you've got Milner as your next captain. You can pull Milner out of that club, then you've got Van Dijk.
For the next decade, Milner not going to be there.
No,
No,
he's
no,
not.
that's what I'm
Henderson
saying.
won't even be there for a whole
I'm going
decade.
down the line here. You've got Van Dijk. When Van Dijk goes on, you've got Trent, you've got Robbo.
Fabinho's quite. I think he's like 27 or something. He's
They've
not-
got-
he's not too
No,
old.
he's 25.
Their back line,
25 or 26, yeah.
their back line and keeper will last them at least, well, a couple of them at least 5 years, but the rest of them 10 years.
But what else am I saying is you could put the arm man on any single one of those players and they will lead that team for the next 5-6 years.
If Trent or Robbo get a decent offer from a Barcelona or Madrid, do they take it? Like a decent offer?
I could see Robertson.
Robertson,
couldn't
maybe.
see
Trent
Trent.
is never leaving that club.
He's a pommy. Pommies don't like
He's
him.
born and bred Scouser. He blood hates Everton. He's never.
Well, Everton will become called.
But he's got that attitude. He's not leaving that club. He'll be the next Gerrard of that club.
Van Dijk will stay.
I think he'll stay.
Don't see why he would leave. Alisson will stay.
Yeah, there's no reason for any of those players.
What about Joe Gomez, if he lives up to his height?
He's doing perfectly fine right now.
But will he, if he gets a decent offer, does he go?
No, he's pommy. Pommy's on that kind of broad.
He's already worked himself into arguably first pick for that centre back now. Bar the injuries beforehand, he's shown up and taken that spot back from himself. He had it end of last season, and he came back. Matip was there.
So Liverpool dominate for the next 10 years?
I think it's a first or second. It's got to be just if anything less than first or second with that team is.
Will they win a number of league titles? Isn't that?
One of the most dominant periods in EPL.
Will Klopp stay for?
Yeah.
He has
remainder.
no reason to leave.
I mean, he did.
But will he get bored?
He did.
He's already
very
won the
well.
Champions League. He'll soon to win the league. Oh, maybe after a couple of years, will he not get bored?
Don't forget, he had a really good season with Dortmund.
Yeah.
Blew the waters.
And he got bored.
And then he nearly got relegated.
But that's because Dortmund didn't have any money to hold on. They lost Lewandowski.
I'm
to
just
Bayern.
thinking, Klopp's a fraud and he's going to expose.
How long was he
Oh,
at
God.
Dortmund? He was there for like four something.
Four and a
years.
half- four and a half
He's already
years,
past that period at Liverpool where if it was going to happen, it would have happened.
Yeah, but he hasn't won the league yet. Now that he wins
now
the
he's-
league,
Yeah, and now here's where the test is to back it up,
Yeah, but
get those players hyped up again and win it again.
Changing.
But you look at that. You look at the Bundesliga and you look at them. You got Bayern, who just literally poach from any other team that can compete with them, and they always end up at Bayern.
Sounds like Liverpool with Southampton.
so if
No, but there's EPL. You can't Liverpool or City like. No one leaves those clubs to go to the other club. You don't get all the amount.
Yeah, you
of
don't
players.
get- yeah, you
you
don't-
get the odd occasion where one big name will go to the other, and he becomes the most hated player in the
Yeah, he
Prem.
gets brick
so
friends with the
so if
players.
Klopp stays, they will dominate for some
I think
time.
it'll be a
It'll-
50-50 with
yeah.
Man City.
If he decides to go elsewhere, they will sign Steven Gerrard. I don't see anybody else who would. By then, he would have been made a decent name for himself.
Currently, he's at Rangers doing
Quite well.
somewhat
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, but
So
it's a two-team league.
yeah, but say he.
But that's
He's in Europa League
experience.
as well.
So.
But they wouldn't sign anybody else. They would have no need to get any other manager. They would then give the reins to Gerrard, a club legend. Are they in a pickle then when he comes, or will he inherit such a strong
That's
team?
That's a few decades down the track.
Yeah.
A few decades.
Klopp's staying there for 10 years, easy.
Really?
Oh, I
He's
don't know
gonna
about.
be there 2030 for sure.
No, but that's what then 15 years in charge.
That's pretty boring.
That's I'm saying.
I just don't. Yeah, but teams don't do that these
We
days.
will end the decade with Gerrard as our manager.
Who's Klopp going to though? He's not going to.
No, but I don't think he will.
He might not go anywhere. He might
Klopp is the type of bloke that will go. You know what? This is it. I'm going to leave on a high note.
Yeah, I'm just bored now.
And that's it. But I don't see him.
He loves the game. What's he getting bored?
Yeah, but you got to age, don't you? You got
He's
to.
not that old though.
No, he's not that old,
What's
but
he leaving to go do? What do Germans even do on holiday? I don't know.
drink beer.
He's already critical of how many games he has to play, and I don't see him going out to another club as a retirement fund. Like he will leave a legend at Liverpool for the next probably another 5, 6, maybe 7 years, and then he will go. You know
yeah.
what? Thank you very much. I'm out.
I think they leave. I think they finish the decade with Gerrard in charge. I think he'll inherit such a strong squad that it makes he'll obviously be quite a notable manager by then. But I think he inherits such a strong squad that it doesn't bother them,
Watch him bottle it.
and they will win the league with Gerrard. I think at one point.
Watch him
this
slip it up
league.
again.
But it's not only that. You look at the players that are on offer at the moment, and 5 out of the 6 of them have all come out and said that they'd love to go to Liverpool first. Liverpool have the first pick. We can't afford them all.
Doesn't look like you need us. Like it doesn't look like he wants to reinforce because if he does, where are they all going to play? Someone's going to get unhappy, and then
That's
someone's
a good
going to
club
leave.
to have though. It's like Liverpool, the exclusive club. You get head picked to come play for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you think you're arguing that they don't know what to play, but Mane happily sits on the bench and lets Origi have a game. Like that.
Oh, he wouldn't for the whole season, but
No.
But how many games do we play in a season?
Yeah, I know,
If
it's a long
we're
season.
consistently in the Champions League, we've got Prem, and we've got how many other league cups we have to freaking play in. That front three can easily rotate through, and we've got a system there where either three of them can play across that front three. You bring in the likes of whoever that will fall into that line. Bobby is probably our first one that will end up
Leaving.
leaving.
Will he go to a bigger club or will he go to a like
He'll end up going
age and
back to-
go somewhere else?
He'll be there for another 3 years, and he'll age, and he'll end up back
In Brazil, in the favelas.
No, but it's what he wants. It's his culture. He loves
Yeah.
it. And Bobby, it's either that or Bobby becomes sort of that more attacking mid role.
Like a Rooney.
Yeah,
well, I think we can agree Liverpool and Man City.
Can't ping a ball like Rooney though.
because my thing, if you want to go back to the other pod we did, I think Werner's probably our best bet as a signing.
There's no doubt you'll make. You have the pick of the future
Yeah.
stars. You have
Yeah.
the pick of,
Yeah.
in Premier League teams. You have the pick of the future stars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have the you have the head
and
pull.
that's even without Liverpool winning anything, purely off Klopp and the culture in the team. A lot of players will want to come just to that.
I just want to know if Klopp can keep it up for like culture wise. I think he will get bored. You can only love that kind of personality for so long until you get sick of it.
Yeah, but he's done it. He's been there for 4 years.
Yeah, and he's done
He hasn't
amazing in those
other
4
than
years.
the Champions League. We hadn't won anything.
No, but
everyone's
you've
throwing
built
stones at him.
towards something. You are now elite status.
Yeah,
You've got to maintain that now.
and other clubs need to look at that.
Oh
Because
yeah,
they're-
definitely.
Because they're not. Because they keep throwing managers away.
Definitely. That's why I think a lot of these managers will be given time. That's why you see Ole's being given time.
That's why I think.
And I think he will just continue to be given time. Lampard obviously will have time.
You shouldn't be given time.
He definitely should be.
I think Arteta and
Arteta
Lampard
will be
are
given
the most
time.
likely to hold on and form what would be almost Klopp level of a club culture.
Well, we're trying to talk about Tottenham soon
Well, we have to
because
talk about City because Liverpool and Man City are pretty much the same shit.
Well, alright.
Liverpool's- sorry,
City.
City. I think City's. They're about to have a transition with Pep leaving.
That's exactly right. Aguero is getting on. And,
Yep.
and
it doesn't. I don't know if Jesus can do the job for him.
Jesus
He
has
can, but-
Jesus has proven he's not the team player. He's the
Yep.
glory seeker.
He's the seller of that team.
Well, then Man City just throw a 150 mil at a striker that's in form at the moment, like an Mbappe or someone. Who,
Yeah, but they
City have pull. City have transfer pull
they-
for sure.
Because they can throw 300k on a wage. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a backing of a owner, like
That's-
ownership that
yeah.
will spend money and they're willing to spend money to achieve greatness.
Previous to that, Man City won the league back in, what was it?
2016.
No, the
Well, yeah.
one before that. With
Before,
Pellegrini.
before Pep started.
Before Pep's era.
Pellegrini?
Yeah, Pellegrini was what?
And Mancini. Was it?
Yeah, they both. Mancini won
Wore a
the.
nice scarf, that man.
Yeah. They all did that. They won their league, and all they did was throw a whole lot more money into more strikers, and then they ended up having all these strikers on the bench, and that lost them their arguably status. And that's what's going to happen after Pep leaves, because they're just going to go, oh, well, we don't have the best.
They had the money to throw at it, but the league wasn't as like Liverpool. You have to have the manager, the system,
Yeah.
the backups to beat them. I don't think City are going to transition and be good enough for that.
Yeah.
Well,
And then if you're not winning the league, then you have that awkward period between where you can't keep players.
So you got the likes of De Bruyne. Does he stay?
yeah.
He'll
He doesn't need to go anywhere
He'll
else.
stay.
You got the likes of Laporte. He stays. Doesn't need to go anywhere
Players
else.
will stay, but then it's a fact of the next manager that comes in is probably not going to be better than Pep because
So those
Yeah,
players are
managers-
those players are good enough to consistently get them a top two finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
The other thing Pep does as well, he's able to keep all these big names, but also bench them for half season.
like he's man manager and tactically managing, he amazing with that squad.
Yeah, phenomenal.
But when he leaves, they're not going to get the same manager, and it's going to be like more,
What-
not less consistent than what.
what manager name do they go after?
They can go after anyone they want.
How many years do you think he's staying there for?
I think he's this year or maybe next year at a stretch.
And then he's had enough.
Yeah,
If he wins Champions League this year, he's gone.
I think they bring
Yeah.
in Pochettino.
Yeah, I can see that.
That would
He's
be
a decent name, and he could definitely build a squad as well.
anyone other than that. I think it's just back to like Pellegrini and Mancini, where they just throw
Yeah.
money, and then it's like maybe we'll hit it this year.
Somewhat like a Barcelona problem.
Yeah.
Because Barcelona have never really recovered since Pep.
Exactly. We're
So-
just throwing managers in. They need like Pochettino, someone that can build a dynasty.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they could be back.
They could slip further than the
slip.
second.
They could be at fourth.
It's just a matter of how well the other teams can reach that level, because they're obviously a little bit behind. That